What's up, guys? It's the bros here from Gholdengo Gaming, here with a special guest, Destynn Hatcher, bringing you some topics today revolving around Pokemon and with the meta and some of the other things. But we're going to stay on topic this week. We've been a little unscripted lately. So the first things first is we have our guest here, and Tiger has a few questions for him. But first, just to let you guys know a little bit about Destynn. He got 6th place at Pitt most recently, so top 8. And then in Atlanta last year, top 20 or 128. And then this Monterey, that was just this past season, correct, Destynn? Or just this past event, I'm sorry.
Before.
Yeah, so
the week before.
Pretty solid stuff going into the beginning of the season. So you want to go ahead and tell the crowd a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everybody, for those who don't know me, my name's Destynn Hatcher. I'm from South Texas. I've been playing the game for a pretty long time, just not like in a super competitive sense. But recently, in the last about a year and a half, 2 years-ish, I kind of got into the competitive aspect of the game, started going to majors. I think at my first major was like Arlington, Texas, the last Arlington, Texas regional, and I went like 3-5 or something like that with Lugia V-Star. Definitely a humbling experience. I thought it was like the cream of the crop at locals, and then you go to your first major and you're getting curb stomped. Like
it happened.
Yep. Yeah, so I feel like I've kind of done like this linear upward motion a little bit in my practicing and play, and then Twitter is like a really, really good resource for deck lists and limit lists and resources like that. I kind of just like use a lot, and I've gotten into a really good testing habit before majors. It's hard to say like for Milwaukee, my testing habits haven't been like super good because of school and stuff, but
understandable.
We're gonna send it. We're gonna go for it.
100%. So I guess we're just gonna jump into some of the questions real quick. So like, how long have you been a master?
I've been a master since I got back into the game. I'm 23 right now, and I've been in the competitive scene probably like 3-4 years now.
Okay, so we've had a few years in the Masters. Did you play any when you were in a younger division?
No, not any like majors. I've been in the game since I was like 8-9 years old. Like I played back in black and white format, X and Y. Basically, to give you like a backstory, I played like very, very like casually. My opponent comes in with like this Zubat Wobbuffet deck, and I'm playing like Mega Venusaur because I'm trying to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Or like Venusaur EX, yeah. And like I get curb stomped, so I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I pack up my cards, and then like all through Sun and Moon, I'm like doing high school and all that other good stuff. And I don't play another game of the Pokemon TCG until Fusion Strike gets printed, and then I'm like all the cards are just so different from what I'm used to. So I'm sitting here with like this like fully blinged out Mew VMAX deck, and I'm just like losing games somehow, even though it's like the most broken deck to ever exist.
Mew VMAX did not die ever.
Yeah, it was definitely a different kind of experience than what I was used to years ago.
100%. So, like, what kind of brought you towards Pokemon? Like, when you were younger, did you just kind of, like, watch a show? Or did you have a family that were, like, already Pokemon fans? Or did it just, what got you into it?
Not exactly. I mean, I've always been around Pokemon pretty much as long as I can remember. It's always been, like, something that I enjoyed. Just playing, like, the video games. That's where I started. I think, like, my first Pokemon video game was Ruby and Sapphire. Sapphire, specifically. And I had this like really, really like good habit of every time a new Pokemon game comes out, I try to like beat the main storyline at the very least.
Yeah.
And currently from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire on to now before this Legends ZA release, I've beaten the main storyline of every single Pokemon game to release in the United States.
That's pretty similar to what I do with it. Like,
yeah,
every Pokemon game. Like, I'm not a big VG guy. I love TCG, but I will buy the game as soon as it comes out, play it for like 2 weeks straight. Like, just not run through it, but like get through it at a fast pace, enjoy it, and then probably just put it down for a little bit.
I'm the same exact way. I literally exactly what you just said. I do that every single time without fail.
So you said you got started in the Ruby and Sapphire era. What generation would you say is your favorite, and who would you call your favorite Pokemon?
So My favorite region, it's kind of like a toss-up between Gen 3 and Gen 4. That's probably like my two favorite regions, and then Unova is like a close third.
Yeah.
But my favorite Pokemon actually isn't from any of those generations. My favorite Pokemon is Jolteon, like by far.
Okay.
I just really like the Lightning type.
Go fast. I like it.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing that you could pick from any region to come into the next game, since you said you play a lot of the main storyline, what aspect of a previous generation would you want getting added into ZA? Like if you wanted to bring back more the Z moves or the original Megas, since they're going to be more focused on the new stuff. Is there what out of an older game would you want them to bring in?
One thing that I really think that I like in Diamond and Pearl, you know how they had like the undergrounds where you could kind of like explore and get like different mons that you wouldn't be able to get like normally through conventional means. Like something kind of like that. I think I'd like to see a return to something like that.
So just a little bit extra expansion to like finding non-traditional of that area. I like it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it kind of like opens up another door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my favorite game was always Silver and Soul Silver, just because you could go back through Kanto after you beat it. It's like
yeah.
You telling me that we have Pokemon that can fly around the world, but I can't go to another region?
Hey, you haven't gone to the town first yet.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the questions that everybody are wanting to know: the 60 that you played to Pittsburgh, was it copied? Was it inspired? Or did your group make it yourself?
So I actually have like a very, very small niche testing group. So I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. So there's not a whole lot of, I guess, like not a concentration of really like strong competitive players down here. However, in places like Austin, Texas, they have like a big group. Like we have Ryan Harris is over there. Aiden Coos is like in that area, kind of, sort of. So there's one of my friends, his name is Haytham. He was like, he pitched the idea to me like 2 days before, and he was like, bro, why don't we play double Levincia? And I was just like, dude, wait. And he was talking about like how like Poltnor is going to go up, Guardy Jelly is going to go up. And I was like, dude, that's actually like kind of broken. He had said Kieran Farah, he had actually like mentioned the idea to him. And Haytham like relayed the message to me. And I was like, dude, that sounds so broken. So me and him actually played the same 60 of the event. Although he didn't convert to day 2, I converted to day 2 with like an 8-1 record. And I hit like 5 or 6 Poltnors in day 1, and I'm like literally sacking all of them because I have the second Levincia. I don't think a lot of my opponents really knew that I was playing the second Levincia. Yeah. Which was like, it gave me an edge, I think.
No, we played 2 in ours, and having 2 of something that people only think you have 1 of is definitely a huge 1-up, even if it's only in that first game, or if you can get lucky enough to win that first game without showing it, and then in that second game it pops out. Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. So did you play the same 60 to Monterey as you did to Pittsburgh, or did you play 2 different decks?
No, I played the same deck. The only change that I made was I played 1 Levincia, 1 Messagoza. I had seen, I think it was JW Creewall. He had like posted like a challenge list, and he had like a Gholdengo and a Messagoza, and I was like, you know what, it would be so funny to hit heads all weekend. So I just put a Messagoza in as the stadium instead of an Artisan.
I mean,
it was
that
like
definitely makes sense. That's like leaving the Ultra Ball into the list just because you don't always want to put Genesect on the board if you don't have to.
Yeah, we did that.
Exactly, yeah.
We went through that. We had someone in the local area that played Thorns pretty heavily, or we were testing when it first came out, and he handed me his Genesect new Gholdengo. He's like, yeah, here, play it. And it had no Ultra Balls, and then he started the Thorns, and I'm like, this is not fun. Like I can't do anything.
No longer fun.
But no, I get that.
Yeah, there was actually in my sets at Monterey, there was one set that I actually lost because I hit tails on a Messagoza and my opponent won a heads. Oh, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can't play this stadium anymore. It's gonna. Oh my gosh,
that's why
it's stressing me out.
Dislike playing stadiums that your opponent can use. I usually try to shy away from those when necessary.
Now it's funny. I guess we did not bump. We were in Monterey as well. I bubbled out of 128. I played a Gholdengo as well down there, but we played the Dango Dusknoir deck. It's a little just. Same idea. You want to take extra prizes. We had a couple people copy the list that I played down there that day too at Pittsburgh, but they definitely didn't do as well as you did with Gholdengo. So what was the choice of keeping the Togekiss in versus any of the other variants?
So with the Dengo Dusknoir variant, the reason that I didn't choose that one specifically is because getting multiple different like evolutions in play, that wasn't like the one specific one that's supposed to cheat prizes. I felt with Holtnor's matchup specifically, you're never going to use Togekiss like ever in that matchup, but that matchup's like supposed to be favored. So obviously I wasn't taking for that one, but I felt like Dusknoir wasn't strong enough into Guardy and Raging Bolt as Togekiss is, because basically the Raging Bolt matchup is you let them like take one, they're gonna have to have a Teal Mask unless they're just like they have this god setup, and then you can combo with like Counter Catcher, KO Teal Mask, and in other instances where it's not right to bench Togepi because Baby Bolt's just gonna snipe it, and you don't want to give them the option to snipe Togepi and then like have to rebench it and then give them a way to go back to even prizes. Like if you take one and then, or if they take one and then you take two and then they take one with Baby Bolt, now y'all are in even prizes and they have a single prize board state. It's kind of like really hard to deal with. So Togepi's essentially there for if you like don't have like a very good start, you can kind of like bench Togepi, make them respond to that instead of like your gimme ghouls or give them a problem to respond to that's not going to lose them the game on the spot or by chance.
So your logic behind using the Togepi was as a get back into the game, not this is my game plan.
Yes, and since Gardevoir had won both Monterey and Frankfurt, I expected Dango numbers to go up really, really high. And I imagined a lot of them would be like, I'm going to sack Guardy versions of it, like straight Dango variants, because they're typically more consistent than the Dango Kiss variant. But if I'm playing Togekiss and they aren't, I pretty much just like the odds of me winning every single mirror go up so much higher.
Yeah, I definitely see the point behind it. I mean, that was where we came up with the Ghost, was instead of flipping for the extra prize, we could force it. Sometimes we could do some weird stuff and knock some babies out, and like with Charizard, and make us buy another turn because we knocked out both Charmanders. But I definitely see now that you explain it that way, I see the validity behind the Togekiss. I just wasn't a fan of flipping tails all the time.
I loved it. I love flipping heads.
All right, so the next question for Gholdengo is, do people continue playing the Togekiss, or do we flip to the dominating Moon Cheese, as people are calling it, going into Mega format?
The Moon Rocks, yeah. So I think there's definitely a huge list of pros and cons to both variants as a whole. In my honest opinion, I think Dango Rocks it's very, very, very explosive. You're combining a single prize board state with a draw engine that's built into the single prizers that your whole deck is built around essentially now. It gives you a lot of options for single prize like knockouts, especially against like the Mirror, Guardy, Grimmsnarl, Dragapult, all of these things that are kind of seeing like a rise in play. Being able to just take one with Solrock and force your opponent to come into the game with like either another single prize board state in which you can just knock something else out with Solrock, go on to even prizes in your favored, or force them to put in a 2-prizer into play, and then you can just sweep with Gholdengo. You have so many more options, and it has a lot more agency than Togekiss does. But where Lunatone Solrock kind of falls short in the prize trade area, like for example in the Mirror, a lot of people are saying like the Mirror is like so much better than it used to be, but I think the Mirror is like really awful right now. Like whoever takes like the first prize, it feels very favored for them. Versus like with the Togekiss variant or the other straight Dango variant, it wasn't as bad as that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to Togekiss. I think Togekiss has a little bit less like overall agency and a little bit less consistency, but it gives you more options into the decks that Dango like actually struggles against. Like for example, if Raging Bolt or another big basic deck were to kind of see more of a rise in competitive play, which probably isn't the case right now. I think Raging Bolt will probably be anywhere between like 10 to 12% of Milwaukee, as it will be for every event until it rotates probably. But I think the Togekiss variant does better into like the big basic decks and the turbo decks than Lunatone Solrock does.
Gotcha. Now, with that being said, do you think the Moonrock version has a better matchup into the Joltik Dango, or do you think the Joltik Dango is now in a better position because we have more variants of straight Dango in general?
So I think the reason that I guess Django, you call it Django, like Joltik Gholdengo.
Some people do, yeah.
So Django actually, I feel, was very favored into straight Dango because Pikachu is just incredibly hard to deal with without like specifically like a tech or being able to go like single prize with like continuous coin toss on Pikachu or strike it rich or something. It's hard for straight Dango to kind of pull off, or even the Togekiss variant. But now it kind of like flips the matchup a little bit, because we can still keep a single prize board state, but now Solrock can punch Pikachu, and you still only have a one prize board state, whereas Pikachu can't take two prizes and its barrier is broken. And I think that forces Django to kind of... It's really tough because you don't really want to use Iron Hands because it'll just get like boss KO'd.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for that reason, Django kind of takes like a really, really huge hit into the matchup if people tend to play the Solrock version more often than the other one.
So you think that as the triangle of Gholdengos, that straight Dango has a better Solrock Dango has a better Joltik Dango, and Joltik Dango has a better straight Dango matchup?
Yeah, it's kind of like this weird triangle effect. Yeah. The only reason that I think the Togekiss variant is better into Lunatone Solrock is because getting this boss air balloon Solrock Lunatone fighting energy combo turn one to kind of like initiate the prize trade if like straight Gholdengo has like a big prizer, or if straight Dango is able to get Togekiss up, it's just like really, really hard for Lunatone Solrock to deal with. So they're basically hoping that they can boss Togepi before it evolves, or boss Togekiss and knock it out and still be on even prizes before they're able to get it set up, which is like asking for a lot in my opinion.
Oh, it is. Now, so does that mean that, like, in your personal opinion, that you're favoring more of the Prime Catcher or the trolley version of the Solrock Dango?
I favor the trolley version way more than I do the Prime Catcher version. The only reason is that if you start an Arven in your opening hands, or a Cypher Maniac plus Solrock Lunatone fighting, there's so many different combinations that if you can get trolley off turn one, it's like your board can become from very, very weak to incredibly unbeatable, like snap of a finger.
Takes very little to get going.
Crazy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, trolley's just by far the best ace spec in my opinion.
I mean, you're pulling all the cards out first off, so that's less cards in the deck. They're all on the bench now. You know, who needs the nest ball or whatever search function for a Pokemon if you trolley them out? And like Destynn said, it's not too hard to find that trolley from an Arven, from a Cypher, set the Cypher up, and then cycle draw. I mean, there are many ways to make that happen really quick. So I can agree with that.
All right, so for you personally, are you going to be swapping, or are you even going to take Dango to this next format with the increase of so many more Dangos?
So, if you want my honest opinion, I think Guardy is going to be like very, very like highly played. Similar to Pittsburgh, we had I think it was like a 14 or 15% play rate in day one. I think Milwaukee's going to have that, if not more. And Poltnor is going to go down, and Poltnor is probably one of Dango's better matchups. So obviously you have your best matchup, which is Guardy, or I guess maybe not your best matchup, but it's like a really good one for you to hit as your most played deck. But since Guardy is going up and Dango is also going up, the mirror is like incredibly, incredibly awkward. And I would, in my personal opinion, I would do literally anything to have to avoid a situation where I have to play the Dango mirror all weekend. Like, I would do literally anything to not do it. So my deck choice is probably pivoting off of Dango for the weekend.
Okay, that's
we agree with that statement. So the new kid on the block, Ceruledge. How do you feel about that with the rise of Dango and with Gardevoir?
So with Ceruledge EX, a lot of people think that it's sort of a meme deck, but now that we have the Lunatone Solrock engine, you know how Regidrago kind of came from this like Gardenia's engine and whatever with how they accelerated energies with like a supporter card versus when Teal Mask came out and Kyurem came out, Regidrago easily became the BDIF by a very wide margin. I wouldn't say it's to the same extent, obviously, but I think Ceruledge goes from being like a rogue meme deck to probably tier 1.5, tier 1 deck. Just because like the raw firepower that it incorporates along with the Lunatone Solrock engine and being able to discard so many energies at once, it goes in tandem with its first attack, where it's pretty much being able to knock out anything it wants by turn 2, turn 3, and a lot of decks really struggle with that, especially like with Gardevoir EX not being able to, or not playing Drifloon anymore, and Ceruledge also playing Briar, it's very hard for Guardy to kind of like map that out without having to Scream Tail extensively or punch with Guardy and Double Monkey at some point to get enough damage on the board to really deal with two Ceruledges with no damage on them.
Right.
Especially whenever they're KOing a Guardy by turn 3, turn 2, turn 3.
Oh, it's super easy to scale.
Yeah.
Being able to do the discard from Carmine and Squawk. I know sometimes me and Tiger talk about you don't have to do that. Sometimes you're really throwing a lot of stuff away. But I've been able to get like turn 2 knockouts on like 330, 340 because I've shifted through everything using the Solrock and generating it back. One thing I did was retreat from an active to put 2 more in the discard, so that way I had enough to get a knockout with the one on the bench that was waiting. So there is definitely a lot of possibilities to scale that damage up.
It's just, in my honest opinion, I think there's a lot of decks in the format that don't have the best response to how aggressive Ceruledge can be right now. I think Ceruledge's only downside is that its game plan is pretty linear in terms of strategy and how to employ like the best way to get as many energies in the discard effectively as it possibly can. And I think a lot of players obviously players at the top tables are going to have more of a way to kind of navigate around Ceruledge's seemingly infinite damage cap and how it employs like its game plan and its strategy. I think top players are going to be more equipped. Not only I'm not too sure on whether they're going to prepare for it or not, but I think it's probably something that's on their radar. And with that being said, I mean, if you want a day 2, if that's what you're going for, obviously play around with the deck, but I think that's one of the decks that's going to be a sleeper.
Oh, 100%. If your goal is to get a 128 or higher, Ceruledge is definitely going to be that guy just because it's the raw aggression, and it doesn't really have a bad matchup spread at the moment.
I'd go one step
further.
I agree. If you want to finish games, you play Ceruledge.
That's the biggest thing, finishing matches.
With the new rule setup, I mean, we still have yet to look at a tie percentage from Pittsburgh, but I can tell you from Full Grip, they did a little modified time, and their percentage is really low with the 60 minutes plus 1. Again, different standards. It was a non-sanctioned tournament. It's completely different. But if you want to finish your games, decks like Gholdengo came to the rise because they can finish. Bolt came to the rise because they can finish the game. Ceruledge is another one that falls right in that category of being able to finish that game. Because, I mean, you just set up and it's like, all right, cool, boom, what else you got? And then they knock something out. You do a few things and go, boom.
Yeah, 100%. Just discard and swing hard.
Discard and swing hard. I like that.
Oh, God. That's what it'd be doing, yeah.
Now, with Megas coming out in Milwaukee, is there a secret Mega, whether it doesn't have to be what you're playing, but any Mega that looks good going into this coming event, or is going into Milwaukee blind with Megas not a good option to just pick up a Mega and bring it?
I think taking any deck that involves any Mega Pokemon currently is a very, very bad idea. So Lucario is probably one of the most popular ones, but I think it takes like probably a 40-60 into every single matchup that it has, which is definitely not a deck you want to take to any tournament, much less a regional.
Yeah.
And then taking an auto loss into Guardy, I think, just makes any deck unplayable, in my opinion.
Yeah, an auto loss into Guardy is hard.
Yeah.
And we agree with that. The Mega Lucario is probably the overall best one that you could be playing if you're going to play one. We have Venusaur at second.
We tried that. I think our list still needs some more refining, and my roulette was not great to go by mine, but Chris Wigglesworth, another team member of ours, was able to navigate to a 5-3, 4, 5-2 with it. So I mean, it's definitely decent, but I think talking to Destynn about his Togekiss build, which he's not the only one, people are going to play it. If you can get an extra prize card off the Mega, that just does not feel very good if that happens to you. So, I mean, that would almost hardline you to have to knock out that Togekiss, which is going to take you off that game plan. And I agree. I think Megas just aren't ready yet. I think there needs to be a fleshed out more test play with it. Yeah, it'd be dangerous.
Now, that's not to say that we're not going to see some Megas being played just because it's people's favorite Pokemon, but also there's going to be some people that play one of Mega Guardy in Guardy list.
Oh, that's
we're going to see
happen.
Just in general modifications of like the Ogre box just adding Meganium, things of that nature, just kind of modifying some of the new decks. But in general, the meta is probably going to stay about the same, minus adding in like Ceruledge and potentially, I hope that it doesn't pick up, but the new Alakazam deck. It's all over the ladder, and it really doesn't lose to anything but Guardy. Like, it's just a super consistent one-prize Pokemon that draws cards and hit hard. It's like the one-prize Dango.
That's fun.
Right, yeah. I think with the Rise of Alakazam, a lot of its applications, I know it draws a lot of cards, but one of its, like, primary weaknesses, or primary, not primary, but one of its primary weaknesses is, it's just very, how to say this, like, it's, like, very non-fluid. Yeah. You don't have any, like, sniping options. You don't have any ways to just do anything other than take a knockout on the active and just draw a bunch of cards, which is probably similar to Ceruledge's game plan, except Ceruledge has a way to offset the prize trade with legacy energy, and not only that, but it has 270 hit points. That's not something that a lot of decks can hit turn 2, turn 3, so it gives Ceruledge enough time to just kind of like take knockouts, versus Alakazam being a stage 2 Pokemon and you're basically reliant on having this huge hand size. So decks that play, I think there's going to be a rise in like decks that play Iono, like Guardy, Pokemon, even Zard. Even I think is going to see a little bit of a resurgence. Grimmsnarl, decks like that that rely heavily on disruption to get set up are going to kind of like take a toll on Alakazam. And with that being said, it's probably not something that I would ever consider.
Yeah.
But I do think it is a really, really fun deck to play.
Yeah, that's what when we were talking about it, and he said on the ladder it was kicking his butt when we were playing Ceruledge, and I'm like, how real is it? And I don't mean to be like, oh, it's a meme deck, but like, if it doesn't do well into everything else, and it's reliant on hand size, it's really easy for another user to manipulate their deck to tech against that and actually still help themselves. Oh, I have to add another Iono. Oh, I got to disrupt my opponent and help myself. It doesn't seem that bad.
Now, just to play devil's advocate on it, there's going to be at least one the day 2. I 100% agree. Will stand that one Alakazam will day 2 because all they hit in day 1 was Ceruledge, Gholdengo, and Raging Bolt, and none of them play a bunch of disruption. So there will be a few that squeak through because they hit perfect matchup roulette. And that's going to bring all the believers, like when Conquistador did well in Frankfurt.
Oh, gosh.
There's going to be the memers that are like, we found our deck because it squeaked through hitting the right matchups.
I think the only like difference is that like Conkeldurr is just like a really, really funny Pokemon. Like, oh my god, I debuted with the Conk!
Right.
Look his name is like, dude, you can't make any jokes with that.
Yeah, the big Conk Daddy's coming in for you.
Big Conk Daddy.
So, yeah, in summary there, it shows that the stones are definitely rocking up the meta. Added to Dango, added to Ceruledge. I mean, we talked briefly about Mega Lucario. It does help. They will probably run in that if someone does run it, but like we spoke about the Megas, taking a 60-40 into the regional.
Anything good?
Yeah. It probably isn't good, but it just does show that the inclusion of two cards that work in synchronization can really change the whole outlook of a meta.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the next topic we have, a little more widespread on Pokemon, is product availability. To avoid the scalp word, merchandise is a lot harder to find, even in leagues. Allocations are really low. Even your local game store probably has a quarter of what they used to have, if they can even get anything, aside from your Walmarts, your Targets, and everybody going out there and buying and reselling. But our main topic on that isn't to ask more about it, but that's affecting competitive play because players are not able to get cards. We are fortunate. We have a play group, multiple stores, a lot of professors I can talk to, a lot of players we've reached out to. We can find cards. It's not hard. Takes me a day or so. If I really need to find a card, I will reach out and somebody will have the card. I can borrow it, get it back to them later. But for your average player that wants to pick the game up, that saw Worlds and now wants to, give their shot to try for Worlds or at least see what they can do, it's almost impossible to get cards. What's your take on some of that? And then we'll dive a little deeper in that.
Yeah, so obviously with the Mega Evolution set, Megas have been like something that people have been wishing and like rolling over in their graves for 8-9 years. Like ever since like X and Y first originally released, Megas were like the talk of the town. And then whenever we go through all of the gimmicks that the other sets or generations had before, Z moves didn't really have the same popularity, and then Dynamax, Gigantamax, same thing, kind of did like this decline. So when Mega Evolutions were announced, it was like, oh my gosh, we're so up, we're so back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think with that in combination with like the desirability, and then how product in the Pokemon market is just like absolutely in shambles right now. I think with access to availability of these specific cards, it becomes a lot more volatile, I guess. So newer players kind of suffer from it, but like the players that have been in the game for a while, who have these connections to people who have access to this product, are kind of like advantageous, I guess, to say. But in my experience, I think like with the people, especially the people that I play with, like my testing group, my friends here down in South Texas, like everybody is so nice to one another. Like, oh, you need a card? Dude, I got you. Like, I think that's just like a sense of community that I think if we all kind of focus on, crazy for newer players. Like I said, I had an interview the other day with one of our local newspapers, and they basically just like, they asked me about the event, and I basically told them, I was just like, yeah, dude, anybody trying to get into the game, like you walk into a Pokemon store or a play store where people are like playing, and you say like, hey, does anybody have this card? I guarantee you there's going to be like 6 or 7 people that like start shuffling through their backpack and stuff, like, oh dude, I got you, like, trust. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Pokemon community is very very open arms and welcoming for 95% of the people in the community. There are small groups of Twitter warriors that are not as inviting. But yeah, in general, you walk into any LGS and somebody is ready to hand you a deck and say you want to learn how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, it's the people that are trying to resell them that then end up making it a lot harder, because DR boxes are up to $400 right now.
Testing Rivals at $400 is crazy.
Mega and Phantasmal, which isn't even released yet, is sitting at $300. So I mean, it's just impossible to get stuff.
Yeah, thankfully down here, all of our, I guess, local stores on release, they always do MSRP on release, and one of our stores is really huge. I guess they get like an insane allocation. It's like almost crazy. But they always do like an MSRP release. The shop that sponsors me down here, they do the Cotton's Collectibles. They do everything on MSRP on release. There's another local game store that does MSRP on release as well. They don't get like a whole lot of allocation, but whenever they do, they're like, you know what I mean? Here you go. Like, here's the product.
And that's the thing.
So,
like, if more stores would do that, then like it'd be more available. But like stores are like competing with players for getting product gone with because they sell it to a player and the player wants to hold it for a week and then try and resell it back to the store for twice the price. And like there's so I'm all for LGS's cutting the plastic off of boxes when they sell it to somebody. I think that
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it just makes it to where
I agree.
It actually goes to somebody who's going to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually standing in line the other day, and there was like, you could tell like they were all with each other. They were like talking in other parts of the lines. They were like pointing at stuff and whatever. So the LGS that I was at, they were basically just like, hey, like they made an announcement. They were like, hey, if you want it at MSRP, we're going to cut the plastic. If you want it to keep it sealed, we're going to have to charge current market. And I like 4 people like groaned, moaned, and literally got out of line.
Wow.
Yeah.
After hearing that.
Well, those are the people that
insane.
need to get out of line after hearing that. I mean, up at Rose, they had a ton of boxes, and I don't think I heard one person groan at all about them getting a box for $170 and them ripping the plastic on it. It's unheard of. Like it shows who really wants the box for the cards and who wants the box to try to flip it.
100%. Exactly.
Now, for you personally, do you think you're going to have access to any card you need going into Milwaukee?
I have play sets of probably every competitively viable card, but that's because like I'm a fiend and I really, really like ripping packs. So I bought so much Mega product and just ripped all of it. I was like, I have a single Mega ETB that I'm keeping for my sealed collection, and that is it. Everything else I have ripped because I just cannot seem to stop myself from ripping packs.
They have the exact opposite problem. They're ripping boxes. I'm like, yeah, I'll rip a few packs, but like honestly, I mean, most of the time judging events, my boxes are actually more so like income, not selling them huge, but like if the vendor's going to pay me X amount of dollars for the box and I can turn around and make it work for me, then I'm going to do that. But that's a different side than trying to take that box you bought from Target and then flip it online. Yep. Completely different aspect.
For like double the price, yeah. I actually I sold all of my Pittsburgh prizing literally the second it was put in my hands. I was like, I don't want to take this on the plane, like take it off my hands.
Exactly. And there's that aspect too. I mean, Pittsburgh was local, but when Milwaukee's coming up, Vegas is coming up, when I'm at those places, I don't necessarily want to bring my product. When I go from Milwaukee, I'm going straight to San Diego for TwitchCon. If I still have my product for whatever reason, it's going to with them because I don't want to take it, and then I will get rid of it at Vegas type deal. Like sometimes it's a space thing.
See, I wish I had your mentality and wanted to rip product. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a little older now. I don't care. I will buy my singles. I get one box as soon as it comes out to try and get all the trainers. And then I don't care. I will pay the extra $10 per card to get them ordered because I just want to make sure I have them.
Yeah. I guess I'm like very fortunate to just have access to product.
Yeah.
So I don't really have to worry about. I don't think I've ever done a single order on TCG Player just because I've always like ripped the cards I needed.
Lucky.
Yeah.
My man says I rip packs.
So one last question on this, since you did say black and white days, you saw cards, you knew the card market then. A little bit on that. Thoughts going forward? Do you think that this goes down? I mean, obviously, looking at Phantasmal at pre-orders at $300, definitely not that set. But is there anywhere in the near future that this comes back down to where it becomes affordable again, or are we just
the Pokepocalypse disappears,
or are we just fighting everybody for cards?
So sometimes I like to consider myself a pessimist, but in times like this, I try to be as optimistic as I possibly can. When we look at the market trend, like there used to be a point where you could get a case of Evolving Skies for like $600. Like LGS couldn't pay you to take them off their shelves. But then when Crown Zenith got printed, prices kind of like started to rise for the older sets, which is that's how it normally is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But since Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions got printed, you've kind of seen this like pre-COVID kind of shift back to how volatile the market used to actually like really be. Except this time, the only like key difference is that the market isn't doing this up and down motion. It's just kind of like doing this like up and then right a little bit and then up some more and then right a little bit.
There's no down. It's plateauing and keep going.
So I'm no conspiracy theorist, but part of me feels like Pokemon's kind of like eating up on it. Maybe, I don't know. Like their sales have to be like through the roof. Like nobody can find product. They're printing like whatever.
Well, you got that on top of the growth of the tournaments. I can tell you that from a judge side, from going to all these large events. They are ridiculously larger than they used to be when we first started this. I mean, way bigger than the 400, 600 person tournament I went to in 2019. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they have 200-300 judges on staff because we have 4,000 to 6,000 players and expected 10,000 such people to make it through on sides or something like that. It's definitely grown. So, I mean, yeah, I would say they probably are eating it up.
Yeah, I think popularity plays like a huge role into that as well. Because obviously the original like 600 people, 400, 600 that you were playing with in 2019 is like far outweighed by the sheer amount of bodies that are just in a convention center at any given moment on a Pokemon regional weekend.
Yes.
So I think that also plays a factor. It's just like the popularity. Everybody wants more products because Pokemon's become a lot more popular.
All right. That's about all I got on my little sheet there. If there's any
last couple things for us from the competitive angle, you want to do a tier list with us real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
All right, so what do you got as number one for most played deck?
So most played deck, I know this is going to be like unpopular, and it hasn't been. The only time that we ever saw this deck be like the most played in the room was probably Pittsburgh, which was Guardy. It's going to be like, it's really hard to say, but I think it's going to be Dango Solrock.
You think Dango Solrock is going to overthrow Guardy?
Yeah, I was pretty confident it was going to be Guardy, but then seeing, I know like Christian Fontenot threw out a Solrock Dango list, but Azul's been playing Dango Rocks on his Twitch too, so it's like, dude.
That means everybody's playing it now.
Are we going to go over?
Once he plays it on his Twitch, it's like
over or under 20%?
I think if I had to give like a really, really rough estimate, I'd say anywhere between 14 and 17%. I don't think nearly enough to be 20% though. Okay,
well, so we'll go under 20, over 15. Got you. And then what do you got as second?
Gardevoir EX.
Gardevoir. Are we now? If you were to put all versions, if they were to theoretically put all versions of Gholdengo as one category, that's Joltik, Togekiss, and Moonrocks, all as one category, how high do you think that would be, though?
Probably 25 plus.
25 plus, if we put all versions of Gholdengo into one?
I had to guess. Yeah, I think Django's not going to see any decrease in play, which is like surprising to hear come out of my own mouth. But I think once people just play that deck, they never want to touch another deck. So.
It does feel good to be able to amp things and draw cards. Like, so yes, I get it. Yeah. I understand.
I tried it. It still was
and you said you've got Guardy at what? 13%?
12 to 13%. Yeah.
12 to 13. Okay. And then what do we have for number 3?
Raging Bolt.
Raging Bolt, okay.
Raging Bolt. Yep.
Okay, I can get behind Raging Bolt. Is that just because of the we're cutting down on the Dragapult and some of the awkward matchups for Raging Bolt right now?
So, a lot of like my theory is that people don't play Raging Bolt because it's good. They play it because it's fun.
Yeah.
So, although it is a good deck for like specific tournaments and stuff, like I think. His name's like Chris Franco started 6-0 with it, got on stream with it. The deck definitely has a lot of applications, but mainly its driving force is its popularity. You know what I mean? Back when it was like super turbo oriented, back in the old Louisville format, and prior when Brago was kind of like flourishing a little bit. It was just like a deck that people wanted to play just to have fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like, I don't know what I'm going to play. This deck is fun. I'm sending it to the tournament.
That makes sense.
And I think for that reason, although it's like not as popular as everything else, like Dingo Rocks, Guardy Jelly, whatever, I think it's still going to see that high percentage of play.
Okay. And so we're going to backtrack real quick on the Guardy. Is that a total Gardevoir, or is that specifically Tool Guardy or Jelly Guardy or overall Guardy for the 13%?
Overall Guardy.
Overall Guardy? Okay.
Makes sense.
And then what would you call your Rogue or Dark Horse pick for this event?
Cirrledge.
Cirrledge? Okay.
What's the
Cirrledge.
percentage?
Yep.
What would you, you said about 10% for Bolt, though?
For Raging Bolt, probably like between 10 and 12%.
10 to 12. And so Cirrledge, what do you got that as? Is it going to make the graphic?
I don't think it makes it.
I think it's going to be on the best of the rest.
Yeah.
Top of like best of the rest, or like middle of the way?
Probably middle. I would be very, very surprised if Cirrledge did not make it on the best of the rest graphic.
If it's one of those ones, in my opinion, you just said it with Raging Bolt, where people want to play it because it's necessarily not good. It is good, but it's also fun. And I think when people actually throw Cirrledge in their hands and find a list that, we're fortunate with a chef over here that's always cooking up new lists. But when you find one you really like, it is fun. Like, and when I say I don't play a lot, usually it's Gholdengo or nothing. I mess with Venusaur, but it is fun. So I don't think it'll make the graphic, but I think it will definitely do well.
All right, so just for devil's advocate, the three decks that you said are top three all kind of have a bad matchup into Charizard.
Oh,
yes,
gosh,
exactly. I didn't want to, I guess, throw it out there, but Zard's probably one of my top picks for Milwaukee.
See, we had to sneak it in real quick.
Well, this man is one of the biggest Charizard fans.
I am a Zard bot. I've done anything from Poison Zard to the Turtle Zard. So I've played it all. So I 100% get it. The Charizard definitely looks good.
Yeah, with the new Lily's Determination, the deck just goes from being kind of sort of like a brick fest to being very, very strong. I think there's two different like ways you could play Charizard, but I think if you're not playing, even with Psyduck being printed, I don't think Psyduck's going to see the most play. I still think the the Dusknoir variant of Charizard's going to be the most popular one that's played. If it's probably not going to be on the first graphic, maybe best of the rest. But I think that with the combination of Lily's Determination and being able to pull off these combos a lot more effectively than you used to be able to, that Guardy, although it used to be like a 50-50 kind of matchup, is probably more Zard favored than it used to be. And I think that's plenty enough reason to send the deck to the tournament.
Yeah. With Zard gaining Lily's Determination to make turn ones even more explosive, because you don't always have to Arven turn one to play the game, is going to make a big difference on how well it functions throughout it. Now the big question is, where do we fit room for these kind of cards in Charizard, since like the basic 60s have already been figured out for Charizard? To make room for it, I know a lot of people are saying they're not going to do Dusknoir anymore. They're going to go to like the Monkey Dory and just kind of like, I cut out 6 cards, now I have 4 Lilies I can throw in there, a couple Monkeys and a couple Energies. But I am always going to be a fan of, I like to win in 3 turns. Charizard took a KO, Dusknoir, Briar win the game.
Yeah, so with Slowpolt's game plan is like completely different from Charizard Dusknoir. Like Slowpolt's, like I like to imagine how a lot of people associate Gardevoir with a control deck. I think Slow Zard is a sort of like a control deck. You're basically like you have these like big beefy Charizards. You have like 2 Charizard EXs on board. You have like a Monkey Dory. You have Pidgeot EX set up. You're basically forcing your opponent to kind of find these really niche, awkward lines to kind of close out the game. Mm-hmm. And one of those options are like relatively good. Like they can punch a Zard and then they come swinging in with a new one, or you can KO a Zard, and then you give them plus 60 more damage, and then
it's like that Matador,
plus even more
the
damage with Dusknoir and combinations as such. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to deal with. However, with the way that the format's kind of like shaping up, especially with like Dingo Solrock, having the option to be able to donk you turn one, and just applying a lot more pressure than it used to. Albeit a high roll deck, it did need to take a turn to evolve previously, and now it doesn't necessarily have to do that. I think Zard with the bombs gives you a much cleaner game plan into decks like that. And the same thing with Guardy. I mean, like, there's not a single Guardy list I've seen except for one Japanese one that plays the Psyduck, and I think if Psyduck's not going to see a whole lot of popularity, that Zard Bombs is probably one of the best calls for the event, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. We've been discussing with other players and whatnot the impact of the Solrock Lunatone into the Charizard matchup. Does it make it better or worse? Because you do have donk ability, and you also can just go single prize for the first couple turns. Because, yes, Charizard can be explosive and get turn 2 Pidgeot Charizard Dusknoir, but that doesn't happen very often. Not anymore, anyway.
Right, so with the deck's like increased consistency, with the typically I imagine like Bliss would play for Lily's Determination. With its additional consistency, I think it can come back from taking once their game plan essentially is going to be like, I have 3 Gimme Ghouls on board, I have like a Lunatone, a Solrock, and I'm KOing your active one prizer with a 1 prize board state. You have like a lot of different lines, like you can disrupt and KO like a Solrock or a Lunatone with Charizard, or you can lead in with Chiyu, try to offset the prize trade, let them take 1, which makes your like Briar play a little bit better because they'll like go down to, you'll take like 2, or you'll take another one, and then they'll go like, I'm gonna take 2 more. They'll be at 2. You can go like Briar, Dusknoir, Lunatone, KO, Dango. There's just a lot of nuance to the matchup that I think with the added ability to donk and the added consistency to Gholdengo, as well as the added consistency to Zard, they kind of like offset each other a little bit.
And put it back, basically back at the same spot that Zard's still just favored.
Yes, yeah.
Now, with that being added in there, do you think Zards will go back to a go first build like they did during the Regidrago phase, where they played 4 Nest Balls and 4 Poffins, and they just said, I'm not losing because I have a board set up?
Absolutely not. No, it's going to be I'm going second. I'm getting Poffin, Evo, Pidgeotto, Charmeleon, or Double Charmeleon, or whatever, and now it's your turn to figure out what to do about it.
All right, I like that. But that was basically it for us. That we've got the top 3 picks for Milwaukee. None of them are mega decks, other than possibly Guardy playing a Mega Guardy in it.
Which I don't see why you wouldn't play one, but like with the way is set up, you can. What's the time clock? Suspicious clock.
Oh, the suspicious clock.
I mean, there's definitely a way you could work that in. Toss it early, pick it up later, evolve a Curlia, use it to win the game. I mean, that makes sense. That's not going to be sitting on the field the whole time. That's
sort of something we could go on another tangent on that.
Yeah.
The short version is that we think that Guardies will play at least 1 clock now, because it can basically give you the old school Turo feel that you power up a 1 prize attacker and Turo Guardy, but now you're just going to a Curlia instead of going all the way back to Ralts, and just go to a 1 prize board state while swinging with something like a Drifloon or a Screamtail.
It's probably a subject for another podcast. We'll see how Mega Guardy affects the builds, and we'll chalk that down as something maybe we'll talk about, because that might be how it's played. I'm not a Guardy person. He's not a Guardy person.
I mean, I've played it for a few events now, but not a huge fan of it.
That was something we talked about, that clock actually coming into play for that reason.
But, all right, Destyn, we're about done. You want to give any shout-outs to any of your sponsors, friends, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a shout-out to Cotton's Collectibles. They're my local LGS. They sponsor me. They're basically the only reason that I'm able to play Pokemon at the level that I play at. And then shout-out Dual Specs, my sleeve sponsor. They're very, very good sleeves, and they're a very, very good sponsor, very community-oriented, and very, very good customer service, by the way, if you ever ordered from them. But yeah, that's really it.
All right, man. We appreciate you being on here. That's going to be it for us. Everybody, stay lucky.
Stay lucky.